What are the biggest concerns and fears people have before they become my client? That's going to be the topic of today's video. Now, on my website, you'll see on the client testimonials section, I asked one of the gentlemen living in the UAE what his biggest fears were before he became my client, because a lot of people, of course, they don't really ask me these questions because they feel it could be a bit rude. So I'm going to go over some of the main fears people have and how I usually address these fears. Now, number one is a fairly easy point. Some people, if they haven't read my frequently asked questions part of the website, they think there's a chance that I could be personally holding the money myself. And they think, well, what happens if something happens to Adam? What happens if he's hit by a bus or he gets ill or whatever? Now, that's an obvious one, right? I don't physically hold the money. I can't access people's money. I'm only an advisor who uses other people's platforms, and I can make the investment choices. I can't actually physically touch your money. So if God forbid something was to happen to me, right, if I was to have an untimely end, it wouldn't actually affect clients' money. And then linked to that, many people think I work by myself, and it's true to say that obviously I've created businesses and so on, and there's a very personal aspect, adamfire.com and so on, but I do have staff who can take over if I was ever sick or something like that. So if something like that was to happen, that wouldn't affect people's accounts. Now, thirdly, people worry about the markets, even though they know deep down they shouldn't. In other words, people try to time the markets. They think it's just not the right time to get into the market, and so on and so forth. As I've often said, nobody can time the markets, nobody can predict the markets. It is possible for me to do things like downside protected investments, but those have their positives and negatives like everything does in life. So this one is something which isn't related to me per se, but it's something that everyone, well, not everyone, a lot of people worry about before they get in, even if deep down they realize they shouldn't actually know about this. Another thing I would say that people kind of talk about before they go in is tax. And what I often say to people when it comes to tax is, number one, I'm not a tax advisor. And number two, we can't know what the tax rates are going to be ahead of time. So for example, if you're buying stocks today in 2021 and you don't plan to sell for 10 years, we can't know what the tax rules are going to be in 2031. You can't know what the tax rules are going to be in 2031. So in that case, what I often say to people is this: look, you don't even know where you're going to be in 2031, never mind what the tax rules are going to be then, or 2040 or 2050 or whatever. So tax is something you can't usually plan for in advance. Yes, you can look at, okay, which structures are going to be more tax efficient as an expat today in terms of what the rules are today. Yes, if you're looking to actually remove income from the portfolio today or this year or next year, you can then look at taxes more compared to somebody who's just looking to accumulate for decades. But for somebody who's just looking to buy and hold until retirement, or at least for 10 or 20 years, not remove any income, then you can't worry about something like that because you can't control that kind of thing. I think I might do another video or two like this because I don't want to kind of overload people now with all the questions I get asked. One thing I have noticed is, though, as I give more content out there, and down the years, obviously I've given so much content, the number of people who ask me about worries and concerns, it's gone down a lot because obviously people have got all the resources online. They see my client videos, they see me addressing concerns regularly on my website. So I'll continue to do that, and indeed have a follow-up video to this sometime in the next weeks or months. How can I help you? In two ways. First of all, are you an expat, a high net wealth individual, or just somebody who lives in a part of the world where it's difficult to get access to quality investment solutions? In which case, go onto my website on adamfire.com and find out more. If you don't fit into any of those categories, then in which case there's a range of free material on my website, on this YouTube channel, and indeed on my Quora, where I get over 200 or have received over 231 million views in the last few years. And finally, if you want to actually read my thoughts in more detail, go onto Amazon and find my book on there.